Hello everyone and welcome back to another Fate Grand Order video. So for this one I decided I would do some kind of more tutorial stuff. So I've run into the problem that I was not really ready for Skadi. I thought I was. I thought all I'd really have to do would be just level her up somewhat, max out some of his skills, and then I'd be fine. I was super duper wrong, but of course, there were other ways to do some Skadi looping and 3-turn farming, so I'm going to show you that today. So, just to try it out, we're going to go with what's usually the 40 AP quest, so pretty much the maxed out one. And for our support now, we're going to look for, of course, a second Skadi. Ideally, you can find someone with, well, first off, you really want to get her third skill maxed out. So, that's All-Father's Wisdom. That's going to get you a 50% NP charge. So look for someone with a maxed out third skill. Ideally, you can find someone with a maxed out, with all of his stats maxed out, like Zumi over here. Zumi's got maxed out 3 skills, as well as level 90 Skadi plus Kildare Lunchtime. So that's like the best possible scenario for you. So, for our first servant here, we've got Arash. Now, Arash is in the free-to-play gacha. He's probably someone you've got at NP5 already. If you don't have a couple of rolls, he'll probably come to you fairly quickly as well. And get him to NP5, and then what we want to do is get him to level 60. That shouldn't be too hard to do, given that he's fairly cheap to level up and ascend. So, get him to level 60. Do his rank up quest as well, just to get a bit more damage from his Noble Phantasm. As well as throw a couple of 3-star, 1 and 2-star foe cards, just to get his attack to go up by that 1,000 points as well. Then, if like me, you've been rolling for Skadi during the 3rd anniversary, you've probably got a few copies of A Tale of Love and Hope. But if you don't, Imaginary Element will do the trick as well. Pretty much what we're looking for in Craft Essences is something that's going to charge his NP to 50%. So, for me, that's A Tale of Love and Hope, because I have an abundance of those cards, trying to get Skadi. So there we go, I'll put 1 on Arash. As for his skills, all we need is Arrow Construction, level 10. So that was also, I believe that was one of the either interludes or rank up quests that gave him the skill, so you're going to want to do that, as well as max it out. Possibly the only slight caveat you might have would be getting Crystallized Law. That you're going to have to do some kind of grinding in one of the events shops and hope you get one. Assumably you've done a couple before and maybe have one lying around. That would be ideal, just to get Arrow Construction all the way to 10. But pretty much what that's going to do is that's going to also charge his NP by 30%. So we're pretty much aiming to get Arash to NP on his first turn. Other than those things, that's pretty much it for Arash. Get yourself as high of an attack stat as he can get. If you really want, throw a couple of golden foes his way, just in case you run into some archers while farming. Oh, sorry, not archers. Lancers even. Which, of course, he's weak to, so it'll do a little less damage. But that's what we're looking for in Arash. Then, second off, we're going to have our farming servant. So this is probably who you were planning on farming with double Skadi system. But it didn't work out all too well. For me, that's Dante's. What you're going to want to do is get their attack as high as possible again. So level them up as far as you can possibly go. For me, that's level 83 because I was not prepared to roll Dante's at all. And so I didn't have any XP cards. I grinded a bit and got him to level 83, so that's where he's at now. As well as I threw him a couple of 3-star foe attack cards just to get that higher attack. As well as Dante's is going to be getting his rank up quest that's going to increase his Noble Phantasm damage fairly soon as well. So Dante's would be the most ideal servant, but essentially what you're looking for is an AoE quick servant that can do a decent amount of NP refund. So what NP refund is essentially when your servant uses their NP, they're going to gain an NP charge back. You want to be aiming for around 50% of a refund. As well as A Tale of Love and Hope, ideally you've got that max limit broken, so you've got 60% charge, because we're going to also assume you don't have a max Skadi, like I don't. So get yourself something that'll charge his NP as high as it'll go. At the minimum, you should be aiming for about 60. If you've got a kaleidoscope, great, but we're doing this video assuming you don't. As for skills, we're going to want Golden Rule over here to be at level 10. That's also going to pretty much increases NP refund and NP gain, as well as Iron Determination. That's going to increase his attack somewhat. It's not too important to the strategy, but what you want to do is raise his attack as high as it'll possibly go, again, just to get that extra bit of damage. So that's pretty much it for your farming servant. Then, of course, we've got our Skadi. So this is going to be what you have. Mine is level 80. You don't need to have her leveled up. She can be level 1 for all. Actually, wait, it would need to be at least at Ascension level 3, 2, whatever it is to unlock all her skills, essentially. But her level itself doesn't matter at all. You don't need to throw foe cards away because she's not going to be doing any attack damage. Craft Essence doesn't matter either because we only really care for her skills. So what you're going to want to do is go for All-Father's Wisdom. You want that as high as possible. Ideally, assuming you've gotten at least 60 NP charge, you can get this to level, I think it's about level 6. That'll do about 40% charge. I'm not entirely sure, but essentially you're going to want to match your Skadi skills with whatever NP you're getting from the Craft Essence on your farming servant. So on my Dante's, I've got the 60% charge. Let's say you don't have that. You've got something that'll do 50% instead. Maybe you don't have a max limit broken Tale of Love and Hope, and you can only get 50% out of it. That's fine. Max out all Father's Wisdom to cover what Dante's is missing from the Craft Essence. Then you're going to want Primordial Rune and Shivering Blizzard, or other two skills, to be as high as possible. Like, whatever works for you, get it as high as it can go, just to get that extra bit of damage. And then, of course, we've got Support Skadi here, which ideally you've got her as good as you can get, particularly with her skills. You want those all maxed out. But only thing we need to focus on is All-Father's Wisdom. So let's just recap. Arash, level 60, 50% NP charge from Craft Essence, maxed out third skill, and rank up quests for his NP. Dante's, or Farming Servant, high as they can go, as many foe cards as you can put on it, as well as at least a 50 or 60% charge, depending on how good your Skadi's third skill is. Then your Skadi, our Skadi, that's going to be as high as you can go for your third skill, and as high as you can go for your first and second skills. And then your Support, you've got as high as you can go. Basically, max it out. As for your Mystic Code, you're going to want to get the Mage's Associate Uniform. Thankfully, this is something everyone can get. You have to just do a couple of quests in the Caldea Gate, but it should be fairly easy to acquire. It doesn't require any kind of event or anything, but what we're focusing here on is the second skill, increasing your NP gauge for one ally. That's going to do a 20%. So let's jump right into the quest now and show off how about we're going to go 3-turn farming. Now, this is mostly going to apply to just the Ember quests and QP quests. It's going to be a bit different with farming the training ground, just because you tend to run into boss enemies, and that's not really going to work out all too well. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to charge Arash's NP with his third skill. That's going to get us 30% more. There we go, we're at 80 now. Then we're going to use the second skill to buff him up to 100%. So now Arash is ready to NP. Perfect situation. Then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to try get a Buster Chain. By doing a Buster Chain, we're going to get a higher attack stat. So luckily for me, I've gotten Arash, Skadi, and Dante's right here to do that Buster Chain. What you also want to look for is two separate servants that are not Arash. When Arash does his Noble Phantasm, it's essentially a kamikaze attack. He's going to die. So having Arash follow up with another Arash card after his Noble Phantasm is going to do nothing for you. He's going to be gone, so you're not going to get the bonus of cleaning up, essentially, if you need it. If you don't get 2 Buster cards that are separate servants, I say just use your 3rd skill here. You can re-roll the cards that you've gotten and hope for the best, essentially. But if you don't, that's fine too. So let's just go ahead and select that. Rush will do a Stella, killing everyone on the field. If there's anyone left over, we'll use the extra cards to clean up. But there's not in this case. So we move on to turn number 2. Now, for this turn, we've got Dante's, who's now got a 63 NP charge. Disregard the 3 extra percent. That's going to come from his passive skill, giving him 3% every turn. It doesn't matter all that much. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to charge him to 100%. So, because he's already at 63, we know we don't need the 50%. So we're going to save our support Skadi's NP charge. We're going to use our own Skadi, because that's going to do a fair amount less than 50%. So, give that straight to Dante's. There we go, 100%. Then we're going to buff him. Buff him to all hell. So, quick cards from both Skadis. Your own as well as the supports. Then we're going to lower the defense on the enemies on the field. So by using Skadi's 2nd skill from both yours and your supports, we're going to just make sure these enemies die quicker. What we're aiming for in this turn is to go and get extra NP refund. So when you get overkill damage, you get an extra 50% of NP gain. So we want to try and kill them as soon as possible and have his extra attacks essentially max out his NP as far as it'll go. As well as his 2nd skill now, that's going to buff how much NP he gains per hit. So that's exactly what you want. As well as his 1st skill, that's going to add a bit of extra attack as well. Those two aren't too important, but it does help a little bit. Now, just to optimize a bit further, try aim for, if you're really going for as fast as possible because you want to save time, try avoid chains during this turn. You're going to want his Noble Phantasm 1st card, absolutely anything for the 2nd card, and then a different servant that isn't the same kind of card. So same type as in Quick or Buster or Arts. We're trying to avoid getting a chain. So that'll be Skadi over here. Either one on the end will do. So now he's going to do his NP, get a whole bunch of charge back from it through overkill. And that should prep us for the 3rd turn. So there we go, we got 57. He's going to get another 3% from his passive skill. And then we're going to charge his NP with our support Skadi, which is going to do 50%. Ideally, you have a servant that has NP2, at least that way you get a bit more out of it. But even if it's NP1 like me, it'll still go up to 100%. All we're doing here is we're not worrying about getting any NP charge back. All we need to do is kill these guys. So, absolute anything will do again, but if you want to shorten time, aim for something that's not a chain of any kind. No 3 servants of the same card. No same colors or anything. And that's it. And there you have it. That's a budget-friendly 3-turn Skadi looping. So you would have to play around with this depending on the craft essences you have. At the very least, I'd say try get some imaginary elements if you don't have a Tale of Love and Hope. Or if you're watching this during the 3rd anniversary, go roll the gacha a couple of times. Try and get a max limit broken Tale of Love and Hope, as well as at least 1 spare copy to give to Arash, and you're golden, basically. That is how you can 3-turn farm with Skadi without having a kaleidoscope or all the other fancy craft essences because you're free to play like me. So, pretty much that's it. But if you have any questions, drop it down in the comments below. I'll try and answer them as best as I can. And hopefully you can also do some farming with Skadi as effectively as this. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like, and maybe go check out my Skadi rolls and my GSSR. Although you obviously know who I got. I did get a couple of extra golden servants, which was pretty fun to watch, and did get spooked just once. But I had a great time making it, so check it out if you're into it. But that's going to do it for this one, and I will see you all in the next one. Alright, bye!